Common cold virus. It is not one single virus, but a whole collection of them, and that is exactly what makes it so hard to escape. Rhinoviruses are responsible for the majority of colds, but coronaviruses and adenoviruses can produce the same runny nose and sore throat. The reason people catch colds so often throughout their lives is that these viruses mutate constantly, so the body never fully builds lasting immunity against all of them. They travel through the air when someone coughs or sneezes, and they survive on surfaces long enough to be picked up by the next person who touches them. Colds are rarely dangerous, but they are among the most common infections on the planet for a reason. Influenza virus. Most people have experienced the flu at some point, and they know it feels very different from a simple cold. The body aches, the fever rises, and even getting out of bed becomes difficult. Influenza viruses come in several types, but influenza A is the one responsible for the major outbreaks and pandemics that have shaped history, including the devastating 1918 Spanish flu. The virus changes its structure so frequently that scientists have to reformulate the flu vaccine every single year just to keep up with it. In healthy adults, it is usually manageable, but for elderly people, young children, and those with weakened immune systems, it can become life-threatening very quickly. Coronavirus. Long before COVID-19, coronaviruses were already circulating quietly among humans and animals. They get their name from the crown-like spikes visible on their surface under a microscope. Some strains cause nothing more than a mild cold, while others, like SARS in 2003 and MERS in 2012, cause serious lung disease with high death rates. Then, in late 2019, a new strain emerged that spread faster than almost anything the modern world had seen. COVID-19 moved across continents within weeks, overwhelming hospitals and changing daily life globally. It became one of the clearest examples of how a single virus jumping from animals to humans can reshape the entire world. Adenovirus. This one tends to get overlooked, but adenoviruses are responsible for a surprising range of illnesses. Depending on which strain a person encounters, it can cause a sore throat, pink eye, stomach illness, or even pneumonia. What makes adenoviruses particularly difficult to contain is their durability. They can survive on hard surfaces for days, which is why they spread so easily in places like schools, gyms, and military training facilities. Interestingly, scientists have also found a useful side to this virus. Because of the way it enters cells, modified versions of adenoviruses are now used to deliver vaccines and experimental gene therapies into the human body. Hepatitis virus. The hepatitis family targets one specific organ above all others, and that is the liver. There are 5 main types, labeled A through E, and they differ significantly in how they spread and how serious they become. Hepatitis A and E usually come from contaminated food or water and tend to resolve on their own. Hepatitis B and C are more serious and spread through blood or bodily fluids, sometimes living silently in the body for years before causing noticeable liver damage. Left untreated, chronic hepatitis can lead to cirrhosis or liver cancer. Vaccines exist for hepatitis A and B, which has helped reduce the burden of these infections considerably. Herpes virus. This is one of the most widespread virus families in existence, and it includes far more than most people realize. The group covers herpes simplex, the virus behind cold sores and genital herpes, but it also includes the chickenpox virus, shingles, Epstein-Barr virus, which causes mono, and cytomegalovirus. What all of these have in common is that once they enter the body, they never fully leave. They go dormant, hiding in nerve cells, and can reactivate later in life when the immune system is under stress. Many people carry one or more of these viruses without ever knowing it. Human Immunodeficiency Virus. HIV changed the world when it first emerged widely in the early 1980s. It attacks the immune system directly, slowly destroying the white blood cells the body depends on to fight off disease. Without treatment, this eventually leads to AIDS, a condition where the immune system is so weakened that even minor infections become fatal. For decades, an HIV diagnosis carried an enormous weight. Today, antiviral medications have transformed the situation completely. People living with HIV who receive proper treatment can have near normal life expectancy and keep the virus at undetectable levels. The science has advanced, even though the virus remains a significant global health challenge. Papillomavirus, HPV, is one of the most common viral infections transmitted through skin contact and sexual activity, and most people who have it never develop symptoms at all. Some strains produce harmless warts on the skin or feet. Others are linked to serious cancers, particularly cervical cancer, as well as cancers of the throat, anus, and genitals. The connection between a virus and cancer was not always well understood, but research over decades made it undeniable. Vaccines developed in the 2000s have proven highly effective at preventing the most dangerous strains, and vaccination programs have already started reducing cancer rates in countries where they have been widely adopted. Rabies virus. Few viruses carry the same grim certainty as rabies. Once symptoms appear, survival is almost impossible. The virus travels through the nervous system slowly after entering through a bite wound, often taking weeks before any signs emerge. That delay is actually what makes treatment possible. If a person receives the rabies vaccine promptly after being bitten by a potentially infected animal, the immune system can stop the virus before it reaches the brain. Dogs are the most common source of transmission globally, though bats, raccoons, and foxes also carry the virus. In places with limited access to post-exposure treatment, rabies still claims thousands of lives every year. Ebola virus. Ebola is one of those viruses that commands immediate attention whenever it appears. It causes severe hemorrhagic fever, meaning the body's ability to control bleeding breaks down and organ failure follows rapidly. The virus spreads through direct contact with the bodily fluids of infected people, which is why healthcare workers are at particular risk during outbreaks. Major outbreaks in West Africa between 2014 and 2016 pushed the global health community to develop better responses, and vaccines were eventually created. Ebola outbreaks remain rare, but the virus's high fatality rate means that containment and speed of response are everything. Norovirus. It moves faster than almost any other stomach illness. A single infected person in a confined space, whether a cruise ship, a school cafeteria, or a hospital ward, can trigger an outbreak that spreads to dozens of people within hours. Norovirus causes sudden vomiting, diarrhea, and cramping, and while it usually passes within a day or two, the experience is deeply unpleasant. What makes it so difficult to contain is the tiny amount needed to cause infection. The virus is also resistant to many common disinfectants, which is why proper hand washing remains the most reliable defense against it. Rotavirus. For young children, particularly infants, rotavirus was historically one of the most dangerous common viruses in the world. It causes severe diarrhea and vomiting that can lead to rapid dehydration. And in countries without reliable healthcare access, dehydration from rotavirus once killed hundreds of thousands of children every year. The introduction of oral rotavirus vaccines in the mid-2000s changed that picture dramatically. Hospitalizations fell, and deaths dropped significantly in countries where vaccination became routine. The virus still circulates, but its ability to cause widespread tragedy has been greatly reduced through one of the more successful public health efforts in recent memory.